So our problem as African immigrants starts from the very first day that we step foot on these foreign lands. Our families back home have a lot of expectations from us. They'll tell you, once you are overseas, once you're in the UK, once you're in America, you need to buy a piece of land. You hustle for some years, you get the land. It doesn't end there. They'll tell you, you need to start building. Build a 3-bedroom house, a 4-bedroom house, so that one day when you come back home, you get a place to sleep. Once again, you need to work 2 jobs to get it done. So you're able to do it within a period of 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, however long it takes you to do that. And your family members will also have a place to put their head. The struggles doesn't end there. At the end of every month, your family members back home still expect you to send money down for the maintenance of this building. You still need to send money down to pay for electricity bills. You still send money down to pay for water bills. You're still expected to send money down every month for their feeding. You're still expected to send money down every month for their health expenses. If there is a distant relative or a distant cousin who is going to school, you need to support them with their school fees. So you are living in the UK, but your financial responsibilities and the financial expectation that is expected of you back home feels like you are still living over there and it drains you so much. Let's put that aside. Let's look at your life in the host country. In the UK, in America, you have your own different set of financial responsibilities to look at. After work, when you see your gross salary, you are very happy, so huge, so big, because you've been piling up and stacking a lot of night shifts, 2 jobs and 14-hour shifts. But by the time all deductions come out of your gross salary and you see your net salary, put your hands on your head and you feel like weeping. I know a lot of African brothers and sisters can relate to this. You need to pay your mortgage if you have one. You need to pay your rent, utility bills, water bills, phone contracts, your Wi-Fi, car finance, car insurance, road tax, food, groceries, and so many council tax and so many other forms of financial responsibilities that is expected of you once you are in the UK. So once again, financial responsibilities back home draining you, financial responsibilities in your host country also draining you, and in the end you have little or no savings at all, and you have only one choice: to go back to work 14 hours, work 15 hours. I've heard people work as long as 18 hours, work 2 jobs. What happens as a consequence? You get to sleep just 4 hours every night. You don't get the time to eat properly cooked meals. You don't get the time to spend quality time with the people that matter. And that is why it is so easy to hear of stories where our African brothers and sisters will be alone in their room for 3 days. Nobody will hear from them. And the unfortunate incident will happen. They just lose their life due to the pressures of loneliness and depression. They don't even have anyone to share their problems with. This is the plight of the African immigrants in the diaspora, and very little has been said about these problems. How do we get out of these problems? Our seniors who came so many decades before us didn't give us the right information to help us settle. And we as younger ones have come to fall into that same trap. We've come to fall into that same system, and that cycle keeps repeating. Now there's a new wave on where the younger generations are wising up. They are beginning to see the tricks, the games, and the manipulations that Africans living in the diaspora are going through. I'll ask the question, what do we need to do to get out of this problem where it wouldn't feel like half of our lives is doing so much back home in Ghana or Nigeria, where we don't even really benefit from all the money that we are sending back home? Just imagine, ask yourself, putting up a 6-bedroom house, back home in Ghana or Nigeria, where you only go to spend 2 weeks in about 2 years or 3 years time, and your family members are living over there and you have to send them money every month to maintain that house. Do you call that house an asset or a liability? Definitely it's going to be a liability because it takes money out of your pocket every month. It doesn't put money into your pocket every month. That is going to be a liability to you. How are we going to escape that? It is very simple. We need to have a clear strategy. We need to have a very clear plan. What is your long-term goal? That is the first question that every African immigrant living in diaspora need to ask themselves. What is your long-term goal? If your long-term goal is to live in the UK, America, Canada for the next 20 years, for the next 30 years, then you should focus your attention, your resources, and your money in your host country where you are living. That is, if it is the UK or America, that is where you should focus a lot of your resources on, because that is where you've chosen to live the rest of your life, rather than sending a lot of money back home, which is not going to benefit you in the end. On the other hand, if you believe in the next 4 years or 5 years, you have plans of moving back home to Africa, to the motherland, to have your freedom, to have your flexibility, and live the rest of your life and do your own business over there, then that is where you need to put your resources. That is where you need to put your energy. That is where you need to put your focus, your concentration. That is where you need to put your money. You can find a small investment. You can find a small business and just set it up. A small project and just set it up. It could be a project in agriculture, like farming. You could get some machines from China, send it back home and begin some production process. You could open up a small supermarket in the area where you live and start buying and selling. Just find a small investment back home that one day, within 4 years or 5 years to come, when you decide to go back home, that investment that you've done is going to keep running and bring you income that you can survive on, which I believe that is one of the major problems why a lot of Africans living in the diaspora are not able to relocate back home, even though statistics show that most people would love to move back home. That is their dream. But what is holding them back is simply because they do not have any form of investment back home. When they go home now, all they have is their 6-bedroom mansion. That doesn't bring them any income. So how are they able to get money to buy food to eat? It becomes quite impossible for them. If your long-term goal is to move back to Africa, don't drown yourself in debt. Car finance, that never ends. I always say, when you start going for car finance, buy a car on debt, that payment is a trap that you will never get out of, because they will tell you, get this car and you pay monthly for the next 4 years or the next 5 years. But the trick that you don't know, the manipulation that you don't know, the games that you don't know is at the end of 5 years, when you finish paying off that car, let's say 2020, by the time you finish paying off, it will be 2025 already, and that car will be old. And they'll write you a letter that if you want a newer model of the car, you just need to trade in your old car and continue paying. And the cycle keeps on like that. So once you get into debt with the car finance, mortgages, going to get iPhones on loans, you find that you drown yourself in debt with about 4 or 5 different payments coming out of your income every month. And it becomes so difficult to get out. It becomes so difficult to find some money to go and invest back home. So if it is your dream, if it is your plan to relocate back to Ghana or Nigeria to live your life and invest over there, that is where you need to focus most of your resources. And you don't need to drown yourself in debt, because the system in the UK, the system in America has been designed with debt. And once you start living your life with debt, remember, it's like a contract. You sign a contract for 4 years, 5 years, mortgage for 35 years, and it will be very difficult for you to come out. So these are some of the problems that African immigrants in the diaspora are facing, and it is time we have very candid discussions around it. Let's come together as African brothers and sisters. Let's have discussions and find solutions to some of these problems. We need to check up on our brothers and sisters who are feeling alone, who are feeling lonely, who are feeling depressed. There are some of us, or some of our African brothers and sisters, who do not have anyone they can confide in or anyone they can share their stories with. And in the end, we hear stories where they are left alone in their rooms and they just lose their lives. These are unfortunate situations, but it happens. These are not stories just like that. They are real stories. So let's help each other. Let's check up on each other. Let's share ideas together so we can one day retire back home safely, live our lives, have our freedom, have our flexibility. Africa will be great again. Ghana will be great again. Nigeria will be great again. My name is Divine. Please subscribe to this channel and I will always be here with more updates. Thank you. God bless Africa. Bye.